You found the Backup Wrap-Up, your go-to podcast for all things backup, recovery, and cyber recovery. In this episode, we look at cybersecurity in the workplace by breaking down Season 1, Episode 5 of Mr. Robot. We'll talk about how Elliot and his crew infiltrate Steel Mountain using nothing but social engineering tactics. Prasanna and I walk through every single exploit, from badge cloning at coffee shops to psychological manipulation of lonely security guards. The scary part is this stuff actually happens every day in real workplaces. We'll show you how these attacks actually work and what your organization can do to protect against them. Let's talk about cybersecurity in the workplace. By the way, if you don't know who I am, I'm W. Curtis Preston, aka Mr. Backup, and I've been passionate about backup and recovery for over 30 years, ever since I had to tell my boss that there were no backups of the production database that we had just lost. I don't want that to happen to you either, and so that's why I do this. On this podcast, we turn unappreciated backup admins into cyber recovery heroes. This is the Backup Wrap-Up. Welcome to the show. Hi, I'm W. Curtis Preston, aka Mr. Backup, and I have with me a guy who is way too smug about being right once again, Prasanna Malayanti. Look at that face.
Is it wrong that I take joy in your misery?
Yeah, it's wrong. It's wrong, Prasanna.
So for those who are avid listeners of our podcast, a couple episodes ago, Curtis went to go have coffee with his wife.
As directed by Prasanna, for the record. He's like, hey, go have coffee with your wife.
And he took his ember mug into the room, and then he lost it.
And it disappeared in my bedroom.
Yes, and he could not find where it was, and he's like, I searched everywhere. I couldn't find it. And I asked him, I'm like, did you check under your bed? He's like, why would it be doing under the bed? And do you want to tell the listeners where you found it, Curtis?
In desperation today, I looked under the bed, and not only was it under the bed, it was way under the bed. What I now believe happened is it fell down on the floor, and then the Robo-Rock robot vacuum took it further under the bed.
So did it actually fall down? Because if it fell, it might have broken. So I don't think it fell. I think you left it on the ground.
Why would I leave the mug on the ground?
Why would your coffee mug be under your bed? Are there any chips and scratches on your mug?
There's no chips. There's no chips, no scratches.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
strong
think
like bull.
I don't think you dropped it.
You think I set a mug on the ground?
Yes.
And then the Robo-Rock took it and walked away with it.
Yep.
I can't really argue with it. I don't have any security cam footage.
But here's the question: how much happier are you to have your mug back?
Oh, I'm happy. I'm happy. Although we've discussed, I'm not like you. I don't take 20 minutes to drink a cup of coffee.
It's 40 minutes. Excuse me.
Yeah, and so the Ember mug is quite often a waste of money, but. So, but it is back in its rightful place on the charging station at my. I don't have to use my Sun Java mug from 20 years ago. But hey, speaking of Sun and Java and stuff, we're going to continue our series of cybersecurity lessons that we learned from Mr. Robot. We're on to episode 5, and today we're going to talk
about... Which is season 1, episode 4.
Yes, which is season 1, 1.4. Otherwise known as exploits. It's a 3xpl0its.mov. And this one definitely gave me some flashbacks. I don't know about you. You want to summarize it?
Yeah. So this is the one where Elliot is back to normal. The last episode, he was recovering from what would you call it? Withdrawal symptoms.
Withdrawal, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And so he's back to normal, and they decide to go attack the building. And so they
of Steel Mountain, the building
of Steel Mountain.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Steel Mountain. Thank you. And so the first thing they need to do is they need to swipe a security person's badge to get into the building. Once they're in the building, Elliot needs to pretend to be someone else to get entry into the building. And then he needs to basically figure out a way to get down into the vault. And there's a bunch of things that happen. We'll go over that in the episode.
Yeah.
While he's there, he runs into Tyrell, who just happens to be there. And he's like, I know who you are. He's like, I know what your weakness is.
Yeah.
Right. But Elliot, in the end, he ends up planting the Raspberry Pi with the thermostat. And then he basically hightails it out of there. Continues on where Darlene is not able to get her Chinese hacker friends to participate. The Dark Army, they kind of bail.
Yeah, they bailed before they got into Stone Mountain. Steel Mountain.
Steel Mountain.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then kind of a couple side plots. One is Angela leaves Ollie, her boyfriend, and she goes back to live with her dad, and then she sees all of the notices for bills from Evil Corp. And then the other one is that Tyrell decides that he's going to have dinner with the potential new CTO and his wife. And there's sort of some hidden things going on there too. So I think that's kind of a good summary. And
I think you did pretty good there.
Yeah. And the episode is called Exploits, and just to give it away a little, it goes back to something we talked about a couple episodes ago. It's a little bit about exploiting technology, but it's definitely a lot of exploiting people and social engineering.
A lot of social engineering in this episode. And once again, Tyrell's trying to hook up with people that aren't his wife. That guy gets around. So the whole thing here, that like the big plot that they're trying to do is they're trying to get into to Steel Mountain to hack the climate control system, to potentially take it to 95 degrees Fahrenheit so that they can melt all the tapes. We've set aside the fact that that's probably not even possible, even if you had control of the climate control system. But and the fact that the tapes don't melt at 95 degrees, they melt at 125 degrees. But yeah, that was what this was all about, right? Was getting into Steel Mountain. And why wouldn't they let him? And of course, obviously, spoiler alert, right? We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff here in this episode. Why was it that he was trying to get to level 2, and why wouldn't they take him to level 2?
Well,
I think the answer to both questions is the same answer.
Yeah. So they wouldn't take him to level 2 because that's where the vault is. Yeah. Right, which contains all the data, and he had pretended to be a billionaire who was looking to maybe do business with Steel Mountain. And they had a faked up Wikipedia article about him. And
that was I like that. I like that twist there, right? That they created this Wikipedia page for this billionaire, right?
Sam Sepiol.
To be that Sam Sepiol, yeah. And the thing is, I recently talked on the podcast about my experience with Wikipedia, right? Didn't I?
No, I don't think you have.
So because a bunch of tech nerds, part of Tech Field Day, we all decided we might have been in an altered state,
inebriated.
Yeah, maybe. And we were like, we had come up with this. It had been a running joke of the fiber channel over token ring, and so we decided, after a few drinks, we decided to just bring it to life. And so each of us wrote a blog about this fiber channel over token ring. And then we created a Wikipedia page about it, linked to it from both the fiber channel page as well as the token
Blog?
ring page.
Oh,
right. And the way you make a new, for those who have never edited Wikipedia, to make a new page, you go to the page you want it to be connected to. You put something in brackets, and you just click on it, and that just brings it to life, right? And then we wrote a page about, fiber channel over token ring, and which FCOTR, which has a pronunciation which would not be family friendly for this podcast, and we just sort of brought it to life, and we linked all the blog posts all linked to each other, and then the Wikipedia post, and we linked to the thing, trying to bump up our street cred for this FCOTR, and some people are like, oh, see, you can put anything on, but what I'm really proud to say is that right away, within hours, whoever was in charge of the actual fiber channel page, they were like, I don't think this is a thing. They're like, and they just immediately flagged it as being suspect. They're like, all of the blog posts seem to have been written at the same time, and they all seem to link to each other, and and there doesn't seem to be anything beyond these blog posts.
And this is in the day before AI, where you can instantly create content in 30 seconds.
Yeah. We worked hard on that. We worked hard on this on this prank, and it took about 2 weeks for it to be completely taken down. But but it was actually flagged as being suspect really quickly, which I would think that this would happen here, right? But it was interesting because they made a point of how that the guy that was editing the Wikipedia page had developed a edit credits based on editing stuff for years, which is one of the ways that you do that. And I think that if you were doing this for real, you might do this like with a bunch of different accounts, and
This is very similar to, I don't know if you remember this. There was a open source library that basically got attacked. I think it was actually the OpenSSH, something included as part of OpenSSH. And basically what happened is a malicious actor pretended to be doing good work and was making proper check-ins and was boosting their credit on GitHub or GitLab, whichever one it was, GitHub, I think.
Yeah.
And they kept boosting their credit. And then they took over managing this open source project, which was then used by OpenSSH. And so literally it was like, I think a Microsoft engineer who had looked and was like, why is the performance of OpenSSH down by 2% or something? And he investigated and he found out that this library, basically someone had put a backdoor in.
Right.
And it literally was going to be a vulnerability found in open. In fact, it was actually shipped in the dev branch of OpenSSH before it was shut down.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's sort of building up the cred.
You've probably seen this image where it's got this really big piece of enterprise software, and then all the way down at the bottom there's this tiny little thing. It's like holding up the whole thing. It's open source project managed by one guy.
Yep.
That's holding up this whole thing. Yeah. So they use the Wikipedia, and then they could have done some other. I think they used Wikipedia because at the time Wikipedia was probably in the news quite a bit, and it was the way that they gave him cred.
But it was also interesting, right? Because they were they were doing recon on the people there, right? And they were okay, we need to first get access into the building. Let's go to the coffee shop where the guards are, and then we'll clone their key card, right? Which guard is going to leave their badge out in the open like that, So that's the first thing that they did.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they used that to get access into the building through the gate, right? And then they got in.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to the card swipe. So I listened to a talk where they talked about how they do this, and they do it specifically for to do what they're trying to do here, which is to get physical access to a place that you're not supposed to get physical access to. and they literally use men's bathrooms, right? Because they'll go in there, and it's totally normal. For those that for those listeners who don't use a urinal, totally normal to be standing at a urinal next to a stall.
Yep.
Right. And so you can be close enough if you've got the right card
reader.
Yeah. You can read a card from a few feet away. And so you got a guy in the stall, with his, card available to him.
Yep.
And you can steal his card and then clone the card. It's a thing. It's definitely a thing that people do. And then what I don't remember is where that card got used. Remind me.
So that's what they use that card to actually enter the facility, right? To get in
That's how
through
he got
the gate.
in the lobby the first time.
No.
Oh,
through the gate
to get into the gate. Okay.
So they drove the minivan in through the gate.
Right.
Yeah. And did you notice? So I don't know if you noticed this, but that minivan had backward-facing seats, and I was just thinking in my mind. In that era, I don't think any of the minivans had backward-facing seats, and not a minivan that they supposedly stole it from a soccer mom, right? And it had backward-facing seats in the minivan. I was like, I'm pretty sure none of the minivans in that era did.
This is the problem that you had with the episode?
No, with that one scene, but yes.
I think it definitely made filming more whatever.
So they get in, and then
they get in.
So that's the first guy that they exploit, right? So let's keep track of how many people, right? So that's number one. Number two is he gets into the lobby and he needs to get access, right? And this is where he pretends to be the rich guy. And they identify a guy who is lonely, who basically is old, who doesn't really care, right? And has a soft spot. And they're like, yep, that's the guy that we're going to need to break.
Yeah, and that's a again, that's a real thing, right? Find a vulnerable person, right? So that type of person is going to be more susceptible to certain types of social engineering, wanting to be accepted, right?
Yep.
And so he, and also not wanting to disappoint his boss, right?
Yep.
So we do the whole thing of Elliot gets something in his earpiece. He's told to say one thing. He doesn't say it that way.
Yeah.
Elliot's not able to do it that way. But essentially the same thing happens where the guy in his head, he's like, I'm going to get in trouble if I send this guy away because he looks the guy up and so he goes and grabs Elliot and takes him on the tour. Right.
Which is interesting because at the start, first time he meets Elliot, he's like, oh, you got to make an appointment, come back later. Right. And then Elliot starts to walk away. And then the entire time he was like, look me up. And as he's about to get to the gate, the guy looks him up on his tablet and is like, oh my God, based on the Wikipedia article, he's a billionaire. I should let him go. He's like, wait, I can take you down.
And we should talk about this. I mean, this is why you have security protocols. Their security protocol was that you make an appointment for tours, and then they're going to vet you, right?
Yep.
And that way you're not susceptible to a single lonely security guard Googling somebody and finding their Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
Right? Because if he's truly a billionaire, he's going to have a whole lot more than a Wikipedia page, right?
Yeah. And this is Elliot wearing his hoodie and looking still a bit drugged out.
Yeah. Well, I would just say, Elon. Look at the way Elon dresses. He's the richest man in the world, and he sometimes dresses like a bum.
Yeah. Well, and I think it was also of that era where that would be Mark Zuckerberg's dress, right? Is a hoodie and jeans and...
Yeah, I saw Zuckerberg this morning. He's looking a little long in the tooth, that guy. He's not. And when I say I saw him, it's not like I hung out with him. I just saw him. On, on a story. So that's the second person that he then used to get. He's now 2 levels deep, right?
Yeah.
2 levels deep that he shouldn't have been able to, and he wants a third level.
And before we get to there, do you remember the guy's giving him a tour, And do you remember when they're standing outside the balcony and he's like, this place is so ginormous that we have our own fire truck in case there's a fire. And not only that, we have our own fire station. And normally fire trucks drive on the roads. They drive on the roads inside the facility because it's so big.
Yeah. And so he's clearly proud of the facility that he works in, and all of that is it's just stuff that you can leverage.
Do you want to talk about like how he breaks him down?
Oh my Lord. Yeah. He takes that guy and again exploits. That's what this episode is about. He exploits that guy's vulnerability of wanting to be accepted by just berating him, right? There's this memory of him being a child, of Elliot being a child. And then he just takes that vulnerability that he has and then says, this guy's going to, he's a similar type of person, and I'm going to use that to and he really does. He just like stabs him right in the heart.
I was even in pain. He was like, if you die today, do you think anyone would care? And then you just see the guy like sniffling, and as he's on his radio, and it's like, oh my God.
I need to take you back. I think I've told you this story, but I'm going to take you back to my first consulting gig ever. Okay. I was hired by a company who, within days of whatnot, I had been moved across the country. I was in Chicago, and I was in the headquarters of Amoco, right? Big, oil and gas company that I think they got acquired by somebody or whatever. My first day on the job, I was disassembling a Spark 20 cabinet, right? I was swapping out a CPU card, and that CPU card had a what do you call that? A heat sink on the top of it. And because I had never taken a Spark card out before, I'd never seen a Spark. Right, I was in HP land. I went from HP land to suddenly I'm in the Spark land, and I'm having to take this thing out. And my finger, and so you're tugging, but you don't want to break it, and so my finger slips off the edge of this card. The card was like, I don't know what, 3 inches wide, 2 inches, whatever. Anyway, and my finger slips across that heatsink and bleeds profusely. Right. I'm looking at my finger. The scar was there on my finger for years. The scar, two lines down my finger because it was deep and it bled. And so I immediately got sent to the infirmary or whatever. Because this is a big building, big company. They had a sick hall, whatever. And I go there, and as I'm sitting there waiting to be seen, there's a sign on the wall, and it says, if you die, your company will replace you tomorrow, but your family will miss you forever. Decide carefully where you choose to spend your time. I was like, Jesus.
Dang.
I was like, I get the sentiment, but in the sick hall, I'm over here bleeding profusely. And
you're like, I don't want to die.
If you die, no one's gonna care.
Yeah.
So I feel that guy. Yeah. And then he brings in the lady.
Yeah. So he asks for a supervisor.
Yeah. He was like, get me somebody that matters.
Yep.
You don't matter. Get me somebody that matters, because he wants to go to level 2.
Yep. And this guy doesn't have access to it.
Yeah. And so the lady comes up, and they had prepped for another lady. Yep. But she's apparently out having a baby, or her wife is having a baby, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. And so
they're like, oh no, we have to blow this.
Now you get this super rigid. I'm sorry, we don't take people to level 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I'll walk you out. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do they get rid of her? They got to get rid of her.
So they're like walking up to the elevator. They're waiting. And then the guys in the van, right, the rest of Elliot's crew is like, people are people. You just exploit the same vulnerabilities. And so they're like, he's married. Okay, everyone has the same thing. And so they end up sending a text pretending to be her husband.
Yeah.
And the text
was, it was bad.
Yeah, it was something along the lines of, I'm at the hospital.
Yeah.
It's what we've always feared.
Yeah.
And she looks at it and she's like, I'm sorry, I have to go. And you just see her.
She just ditches him.
She ditches him. She's like, you can see her see yourself out. And she walks. And then I don't know if you notice it, but she like goes to the end of the hallway. You can still see her. And then she grabs onto the railing and just stares at her phone. Yeah.
Yeah. All these poor people.
Yeah. So that's a third person.
Yeah. And he's trying to get, down to the second floor, and that's when he runs into Tyrell.
Yep.
Right. And once again, he exploits Tyrell. Right. Again, Tyrell wants to be liked as well.
Yep.
Doesn't everybody want to be liked? But he for some reason Tyrell does what Tyrell wants him on board. Tyrell wants him as part of his company, so he wants him to like him. And so he exploits Tyrell to take him to the executive cafe, which is on the second floor, which also happens to have access to the bathroom. I guess in this building, you have to hack the climate control system on the same floor.
Well, not only that, but in the bathroom, it was an unlocked door that just happened to be open, and you could see a thermostat.
Yeah,
I was like, really?
So, yeah.
I was like, have you ever?
That the climate control for the tape
entire
library
building,
is controlled in the bathroom.
Yeah, or the fact that it's an executive lounge bathroom, and yet they're going to have supplies out like that in the open. Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, totally doable, right?
But as he's in the middle of installing the Raspberry Pi, right, then Tyrell walks in.
Yeah,
right.
And he has this moment where Tyrell sort of calls him out.
Yeah,
but he managed to make it through that.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, he was like, "Yeah, I know what your weakness is, Elliot. Revenge."
Yeah. And he's like, I know you set up Terry Colby. So he's exploit. So now it's the fourth person that we successfully exploited, and he got where he needed to get. And again, I'll reference this guy that I know who this is what he does. His job is to get where he's not supposed to get. He's hired by companies, right? He's a red team physical security. I don't know what you want to call that, right?
Expert.
What?
Expert.
Yeah, and he has to get into a place that he's not supposed to be. In this case, the climate control facilities for the tape library there, and then he just takes a selfie and then he gets the hell out. Yeah. So in this case, they put it in, but it doesn't go well. Everything happens. They get in there, they get the control. Yep. They've got command and control of the facility. Remind the listeners really why the Red Army. What was their role in this?
So basically, for them to delete all the data for Evil Corp, they had to do two things. One is they had to delete all the backups, which was at Steel Mountain. And then in China, they also had data centers, which held the data as well.
Okay.
And so they needed the Dark Army, the China hackers, in order to attack and destroy the data there. Otherwise, it could always be recovered.
Oh, so it's the Dark Army, not the Red Army.
I did say Dark Army.
You said Dark Army. I said Red Army.
Oh.
Yeah. And so for some reason, they're out, Yeah. That didn't work out.
Yeah. And in fact, later on, right, when they're back in the bunker or the arcade, right, which is their headquarters, that's where they're like, screw it, we'll just do the exploit ourselves and we'll at least take down what we can. And Mr. Robot's like, no, if we do that, they're going to change their security stuff. They'll only be down a couple of weeks for them to recover, and then they'll put new security in place, and we would have lost our opportunity. And Darlene is just sort of like, screw it, we're going to do it. She's just about to push the button, and then she's like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Elliot's like, we'll think of something else.
We'll think of something. And remember, this is a unique time that they have available to them, because they're gonna do the 324. They're gonna do the 4 copies of the data off-site. And so this is a problem.
Yeah. You know, one thing I did forget to mention during the summary
What's that?
is, do you remember Vera, the dude in...
Vera is calling him out as well.
Yeah. Vera finally realizes that Elliot is the one who was the anonymous tip. Yeah. And he basically leaves the phone in Elliot's room or Elliot's place being like, I know you did it.
Yeah. That's not the kind of guy you want to
mess with. He's crazy.
Yeah. He's crazy.
Es loco en la cabeza.
Yeah. That's not going to be good. That's not going to be good. So again, going back to, physical security, a couple of things. Physical security is if you get through it, one of the things we talk a lot about is that if you gain physical access to a server farm or whatever,
all bets are off.
All bets are off, right? Yeah. You put in USB sticks, you reboot stuff, you could put a torch, you could take a whatever. You can
drill press.
So if you gain physical security, what was that?
Drill press.
Drill press, exactly, right? And that's why physical security needs to have the same kind of level of attention to detail as the cybersecurity, right? With checks and double checks, and you have the kind of thing like so. For example, I could see being added to this scene where you've got a crew who's watching security footage, and they should be sort of informed. Here's a person. We know who this person is. They're then going with Bill. Was that his name? Bill, the guy, the guy that they exploited.
Yeah.
I think it was Bill. Okay, so we got Steve. No, what was his name? What was the guy's name? The Steve Sibyl. What was
Sam Sepiel?
Sam Sepiel. Yeah, it's just a weird name. Anyway, so because he would have been vetted at the front.
Yeah.
Right? He would have been vetted before he got to the lobby. And then or maybe he would vetted at the lobby. He would have been before he was sitting in that chair, he would have been vetted.
Yeah.
And then that person, that ID would be available to someone who is
taking him around and
no, I'm saying watching. So my point is physical security, like cybersecurity, you need checks and double checks.
Yeah.
So if you have someone like Bill who gets exploited and manages to take someone in who didn't go through the vetting process, that a security person watching this would go, "Who's this guy?
Yeah.
We don't know who this guy is." And he's just wandering off with Bill into the thing, right?
Yeah. And it's no different than if Bill was, like in this case, we're talking Bill being exploited, but it's no different than if Bill was an insider threat.
Right. Exactly. Right. So if he exploited him through some other means, right? So Bill could be he could be exploited by extortion, right? Yeah. Bill could have some stuff on his computer, and that's how it. And so Bill could be compromised in a number of ways.
Yeah.
You can't have your physical security. You're only strong as your weakest link.
Yep.
And so that's why you have to have checks and double checks, right? Yep. Everybody gets badged, and this is why, like with you don't do tailgating. What's tailgating in a data center, Prasanna?
It's basically where you walk in behind someone else without badging in.
Yeah. No tailgating, and then you have cameras that watch for people tailgating, and so when they tailgate as a regular thing, you can stop that up front.
Yeah.
And say we don't tailgate here, right?
One of the things I noticed. They never gave Elliot a visitor's badge.
No, they never did.
Yeah. And
Elliot
so then when he's walking around, remember there are the two people who work there who see him, right? Mm-hmm. And he looks back and he just looks like, but if they had like a visitor badge or something else, then they'd be like, oh yeah, he's not a normal person or their normal lanyard, right? Their corporate lanyard.
Yeah. Well, in this case, again, going back to checks and double checks, that person, the woman that they got rid of, she should have at that point gone, where's his bill?
Yeah.
Where's his visitor badge? Oh, well,
exactly.
Because I Googled him. We didn't need one, right? Anytime you have that level of security, it's very common for visitors badges, for example, to expire. And by expire, I mean to physically expire. They get printed on paper that says expired after like 24 hours. either thermal paper or some other type of thing. Usually it's like, I've seen it's like slanted red across the top. So you
or with like giant print
next.
for the date.
Yeah, giant print for the date, exactly. So that it's really obvious, and you can double check somebody, And again, this is something that should be part of your physical security process of a concept. Everybody's supposed to have a badge. Yeah. And if you don't have a badge, you should then whoop whoop, the klaxon alert should be going off.
And even the fact that there were way too many people inside that facility that should not have been there. Like there were random office people walking around, and
right.
Like the fact that you have an executive lounge there, it's like really
Why
on
is
level
the executive
2
lounge on the second floor.
Yeah. Who wants to eat in the basement?
Who wants? Apparently, the executives in this show. But that's the thing. Like when we're talking about physical security, you need checks and double checks, just like you have, and you need things that are checking for the other things when they're not when the other people aren't doing their job.
Well, so sorry, I was just thinking about this. So the executive lounge had waiters, right? There was someone serving, right? Who they also sort of broke down, not to his face, but they were making food. Food requires stoves and fire on the same level as your tape backups. Excuse me?
That's no bueno. I didn't even catch that part. Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. And this was a basement thing? Like, why would you make a kitchen in the basement?
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Plot holes.
Don't. Yeah. Definitely there could be some improvements in their physical security over there.
The last part, I'll add this in,
is
so when Elliot walks in, do you remember that the 3 folks, Mr. Robot and the 2 other hackers, they're still in the van and they're parked on the side of a road in the complex, not in a parking lot.
Right.
And it's like, really? You don't have roaming security guards, cameras being like, what's that vehicle parked out there doing?
What's that vehicle doing over there? Yeah, exactly. What's that vehicle with the backward-facing seats? What's that about? And then another person that looks like is in the process of being exploited is the wife of the future CTO.
Yeah.
Right? And we don't know, once again, Tyrell, I don't know if he's got something on her or whatever, but, he makes this, like, bold comment to her. Like, he's like, I don't know how you don't blow your brains out being married to that guy.
Yep.
But I think Tyrell knew some stuff. I think just like, these other people, he knew some stuff about this woman.
Yeah. And then I don't know if you remember sort of near the last scene though, right? But as he's leaving, he literally walks in on her in the bathroom.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Right. Yeah, he's very sure of himself.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's clearly, based on that scene, he's got her under his thumb.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yep.
Super confident, that dude, and psycho. Yeah. And you're in your house. You have some guests over at your house. Your wife is in the bathroom, and you see your male guest heading off also towards the bathroom. What's that about? Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, things that make you go, You'd be like, hey, what's going on? Why's Tyrell going up to the bathroom? Why is there a van in the middle of the parking lot just sitting there, with like 3 guys in it? Why is this guy who doesn't have a visitor badge wandering around the hall,
Well, and more than that, it was an out-of-state van, I believe, right? Because weren't they traveling very far?
Yeah. And the other thing, this is something, we talk a lot about a culture of security, right? A culture of this. You need, as your company, you need a culture of physical security.
Yeah.
Meaning that it should be normal. It should be rewarded for you to challenge people when you say, hey, no, the guy trying to tailgate behind you. Hey, no tailgating. Not on my badge, man.
Yeah.
Right? You need to badge in yourself.
Well, I remember a couple times I've asked people, I'm like, hey, where's your badge? Or can you badge in?
Yeah.
Because, at some companies, they've been very strict about badging. And so sometimes people just like try to walk through. I'm like, oh, you got to badge in. They'll be like, oh, sorry. And then they'll badge in.
Yeah. Yeah. And you need a culture of that being a thing, right? And when you do, and when you check and you double check, when things are out of the norm, that's when you can go. You could say, "Oh, I'm sorry. Did you get, the visitor's badge?" You can. It's a little bit like I remember when I was being an election worker, right? It is possible that someone could come up to register to vote, not register to vote, but to sign up to vote that day. And you log into the electronic poll book, and because it's electronically connected, everything, if they voted in another facility already, it would pop up and say that they'd already voted. And they train us not to say, "Hey, it appears that you're trying to commit a felony." And you give them the benefit of the doubt of like, by any chance, did you go? Do you remember going to another facility? You call them on it, but you do it in a way that doesn't embarrass them or whatever, right? And you do the same thing here. It's like, did you by any chance drop your visitor badge in the bathroom? Or, it's like, oh no, he never got one. He never got one. Well,
let me help you with that. Yeah, exactly.
Let me help you with that. By the way, when she walks off, she's like, "Security will see you. Someone will see you out." Dude, she just left him completely unescorted. I don't know what to do with these people.
She's a supervisor too. Awful.
This episode should have been called "People Fail."
Well, I was just thinking about that. I was like, nearly like the technical exploit was literally just like a tiny piece of the entire episode.
Yeah, it was about people.
Yeah.
You are the weakest link. All right. Well, it's fun, Prasanna.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed this episode, although I did have to eat some ice cream and not cry a little, but bring back some happiness into my life after seeing Elliot break down so many people.
Yeah. He's vicious. And speaking of vicious, hi, listeners. Thanks for listening. And that is a wrap. The Backup Wrap-Up is written, recorded, and produced by me, W. Curtis Preston. If you need backup or DR consulting, content generation, or expert witness work, check out backupcentral.com. You can also find links for my O'Reilly books on the same website. Remember, this is an independent podcast, and any opinions that you hear are those of the speaker and not necessarily an employer. Thanks for listening.